Hi Legion, John Hitler, co-founder and co-creator of the Genius Discovery Process, here with another edition of Pure Genius. Today we're going to take on an interesting subject. What if, or how can, you live a great life well past 100? You say, really? We kind of die. I got a question for you. How long are you going to live? Really? I can't answer that. It depends on a lot of things. But you know what? I'll guess. Like me, a number popped into your head, didn't it? What was your number? What was your number? And where did it come from? Did it come from a long line of relatives who lived well past 80 or into their 90s? Did your parents die young? Do you have a history of disease in certain areas? Is there cancer in the family or hereditary diseases? Where'd your number come from? Truth is, we walk around with a number our whole life. We just don't discuss it. As a society, we don't discuss the number. But we walk around with it and it affects our life. Because if your number was, let's say 85, guess what happens about 75 or 80? You start sending parts back to the factory, don't you? It's logical, because your brain's going to tell your entire body what to do. Well, what would it take to create a life well past 100? And I use the word create on purpose, because a lot of it is choice. Truth is, it requires transformation. It's a straight transformation game. You have to transform things now, not 3 years before you think you're going to beam up. You've got to transform things now to change the trajectory to move you well past 100. Well, what do we do at Evoking Genius? I coach CEOs, entrepreneurs, team leaders, and entire teams to create lasting behavior change. The way we do that, we make transformation or big change safer and more attractive than standing still. What if you transformed certain small aspects of your life now that paid off over the next 30, 40, 50 years and added great years to your life? That's what we're going to discuss today. Well, let's back up. First off, let's look at what actually kills people. Great. If you ask doctors or pathologists or scientists, they'll give you one list. And here's what their list looks like. Up until 50, up until the age of 50, you're a statistical anomaly if you die. Our bodies are built to go well past 50. But there are car accidents, there are diseases. You could get some form of disease early and die. Childhood disease, remember, there's an average life expectancy. What's that? In the United States, about 80. Depending on what state you live in and whether you're male or female, it can alter a little bit, but it's roughly speaking, it's 80. Interestingly enough, the two states with the highest life expectancy are Hawaii, gentle climate, beautiful place to live, and Minnesota, one of the harshest climates in the United States. So maybe in Minnesota they live because they're tough, and maybe in Hawaii they live long because they've got it easy. Who knows? But those are in ranked order, those are number 1 and number 2. But generally speaking, the number is 80. How does that compare to your number? How do we shift it and transform it to go higher on purpose? Because it's, in a lot of ways, it's a choice. Well, what kills people up until 50 is a statistical anomaly. From the decade of your 50s, from 50 to 59, is the critical one. That's the turning point or the pivot point. If you come through that decade relatively healthy, statistically you're going to live past 80. Great. If you have the onset of major diseases, heart disease or liver disease or lung disease or cancer or whatnot, you're not going to make it to 80, statistically. And it starts to show up in the decade between 50 and 59. Got it? Okay, so let's say you got to 60, disease-free. What now kills you? In ranked order. This is from doctors, pathologists, and scientists. They'll say heart disease, number 1 killer. Men and women, it's number 1. Great? Understandable? Second one, cancer, especially lung cancer. Again, not surprising. And the third one, liver disease. So let's break these down a little bit. Heart disease, let's be honest. Heart disease, your heart gives out at some point, usually due to the slow abuse of your body. We don't take very good care of our body for a long period of time. Eventually, like a car that you don't take care of very well, eventually it breaks down. It may not break down and die, but you have a heart attack. Oh, jeez, and it's preventable because what you really have is a knife, fork, and spoon problem, or a lack of exercise problem, or both. Move more, eat less, or eat better, and heart disease, generally speaking, doctors will tell you, is preventable, but it's our #1 cause of death. Completely a choice. Second one, lung cancer. Cancer is the killer, but it's primarily, by statistically high amount, it's lung cancer. What is lung cancer normally tied to? Smoking. Not always. You can absolutely get lung cancer without being a smoker. But if it's tied to smoking, again, that's a choice, it's a lifestyle choice. And it's completely preventable. Well, or mostly preventable. Number 3, liver disease. That's code for we drink too much. We pickle our livers. We drink consistently, not necessarily in abusive amounts, but eventually you get sclerosis of the liver. The liver's job is to filter the blood. Well, if you're filtering it by throwing alcohol through it, that's not helping much. And over time, the liver gives out, much like your heart gives out by not eating very well. Well, you don't eat very well, your heart goes out, you drink too much, and your liver gives out. The combination is oftentimes present, because if you're abusing your body with poor food choices, you're probably abusing your body. You may be abusing, you may be abusing your body with too much alcohol as well, and the 2 in combination really will take you down. Well, those are the 3 in ranked order. All essentially lifestyle choices and all preventable. Well, now what I'd like to look at is a different take on what really kills people. And we'll go to actuarials instead of doctors. Who are actuarials? In the way we would say it, life insurance companies. Now they live and die based on betting on your or my life expectancy. They have to take a bet. Then they collect a premium month after month after month, and if we die early, they lose money. If we live a long, healthy life, at some point they break even, and then it's really profitable. Super profitable business, and it's because they are very, very good at screening out the people they think are going to die early, because they know what kills people. Interesting. They do use pathology, and they can test for that with blood tests and physicals. But what they'll tell you kills people in the long run is different than what you might think. First, loss of community. We would call it loneliness. People die of loneliness. You think about it, go to a prison yard. What's the toughest, most severe punishment you give to a prisoner? Solitary confinement. The hole. You got 30 days in the hole. You act up in prison, and what they do is they put you in the hole. And if you're really bad, they put you in solitary confinements for long periods of time. If you could film a prisoner the day they went into solitary confinement and the day they come out of solitary confinement, the aging process is enormous. Human beings are social. We're meant to be around other people and in community with other people. And loneliness or isolation really ages us and wears us out. Very connected with doctors and family practitioners, but they'll tell you a primary cause, it's not a pathological cause, but a primary cause, a root cause of a lot of disease, is loneliness, which then leads to depression. And when you're depressed, your body's not at its best. You get every cold, you get every flu, the flu turns into pneumonia, and something simple becomes a major problem because your body's not working at full force. Great. That's number 1, loss of community or loneliness. Second one, lack of or no purpose in life. Makes sense, doesn't it? If your feet hit the floor every morning and the big thing on your agenda today is The Price is Right at 10:30, The View after that, and then Jeopardy after dinner, it only takes a couple of weeks before you want to die. It's that bad. Well, if you've got no purpose, really, your body starts shutting down. Your brain says, what are we doing here? It doesn't make any sense for us to be here because you're just biding time. Purpose, if you look at people who live long lives, they tend to have a sense of purpose and contribution. They're still contributing late in life. Absolutely huge factor in what kills people. And the third one is the lack of, or the stress associated with lack of no money. So imagine this, paint this scenario. You've retired, your spouse just passed on, so you're isolated, and you're living on a small pension and Social Security, as do 80% of Americans when they retire. Not very fun because you've got tons of time now, but you don't have the money to enjoy all that free time. You're back to Price is Right and Jeopardy. It's not very fun. It's all you got. Cable TV is your best option because you don't have the money to enjoy life, even though you now have the time. Well, the aging process and the death preparation, if you will, starts much earlier than that. Psychologists will tell us that people start to recognize their mortality seriously about age 50. Let's say you retire at 65 or 67. That means at that point you take retirement perhaps more seriously, and financial planners will tell you a lot of people don't get serious about it until their mid-50s. The stress associated with postponing your savings and your deferred income to take care of you in your old age really wears on people because they know at that point, then they become acutely aware that they're running slow and they're running short on the savings necessary. If you're actively saving all the way along, you don't have that stress. It doesn't age you in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, and when you get to retirement, you're much more better prepared. But it's the stress often associated with lack of money. Well, put those three together, and you can imagine the aging effects as you move out of the workplace, lose a lot of your identity and purpose, lose perhaps your life partner at some point, outlive your life partner. Now you're lonely and isolated, and you're on a fixed or limited income. Wow, really tough. Not surprising that people die of one or a combination of all three symptoms. Well, what if you could make one move and address all three root causes that the actuaries talk about? The loneliness, lack of purpose, and lack of money. We call it genius. It comes, what is it? It's your singular gift of talent on earth, the process for how you deliver it, and the reason why you got it. It's your purpose on earth. Let's walk through it real quickly. Loneliness. Let's postpone loneliness. Let's take money first. What if you had a singular gift of talent that nobody else on the planet had, and you loved doing it, and you could do it in your sleep? Wow. Wouldn't you think, even if you're retired, wouldn't you think there'd be some financial benefit to that? You could actually make some money with it. I'll call it a hobby business. It doesn't have to be a serious business that you go into at 65 or 70. But what if you could express your talent in such a way that your singular gift of talent in the world gets used and paid for? Wow, you could actually make money and have a blast doing it. Wouldn't that be cool? What if there were a community of people attached to that? Whether there's other people that are tangential or necessary, or whether there were users or consumers on the other end. Now you're building community by expressing the talent that you were given. And what if that talent were clearly attached to your highest purpose on earth? So when you woke up in the morning, your feet hit the floor and you knew why you were meant to live today. You knew exactly why, you knew exactly how you were going to play, and the difference that you could make. Would that change your lifestyle or your mentality? Would that change the trajectory of your life? I say it would. Well, we call that genius, and it's easily discovered in a genius discovery process that takes 90 minutes. That's the fun part. Well, when you live a long life, we know people with a long life have an outlook that's purpose or contribution driven. They get up every day and say, how can I contribute? How can I contribute to myself, the people around me, my community? They tend to have more community around them because it's a choice. They are absolutely connected very highly to their purpose and a sense of contribution. Great, we know that. Transform that and you change the trajectory. Mark Twain famously said, the two best days in your life are the day you were born and the day you know why. Absolutely. Once you know why you were put on earth, that's a great day in your life because it's really clear you will live your purpose and you utilize your talents to do that. Well, how about this? 3 things, if you would. Comment below. Tell me about the relative in your family or the role model in your family. May not be a blood relative, but somebody close to you who's lived and still either just is living or is just recently passed, who lived an unbelievably long life filled with purpose and contribution right up until the end. For me, that was my Aunt Rose. She was a great aunt. She lived till 100 plus 3 months. And the day before she died, she won a Wii bowling tournament. She was undefeated. Wii bowling only came about the last 6 or 7 years of her life. She was undefeated in individual competition, and she had a partner, and they played doubles. She hadn't lost in 6 years. The day before she died, she won a Wii bowling tournament. She was full faculties, still healthy, still active. We came in together at breakfast. She hadn't come down for breakfast, and she was asleep in her chair. She just never got up. But she lived 100 years and 3 months, partially because she was still connected to our entire family and making a difference. Great person. Who is that person for you in your life? Comment below and let me know. I'd be interested to know who that person is. If this was helpful, like and share this video. Send it out to your network. Let them in on it. And lastly, I'd like to acknowledge you for the courage it takes to play this. This is not for everyone. Living a great life, living an extraordinary life, is not for everyone. A lot of people don't have the courage to do it. I honor and acknowledge the courage and the ambition it takes to go the extra mile and learn and change your path. Until next time, all the best.